7A to E&R initial. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed vote nay. Have you all voted to care to? Record, please, Mr. Clerk.
38 ayes, no nays, Mr. President, on the advancement of the A bill.
LB 1067A advances. Items for the record, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President, before we proceed, enrollment and review reports 884 to select file with amendments. Communication from the Governor, the Clerk, and Ghost Legislative Bills 83, 447, 447A, 698, 698A, 704, 710, 730, 772, 794, 817, 857, 897, 906, 956, 957, 981, 1009, 1059, 1081, 1082, 1082A, 1092, and 1109 received in my office on March 24. These bills were signed and delivered to Secretary of State on March 30. Sincerely, Pete Ricketts, Governor. Further communication, dear Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, and members, I have reviewed LB 956 and 957, which comprise the 104th Legislature's mid-biennium adjustments to the previously enacted two-year budget for the Nebraska State Government. In the 2015 sessions, we worked together to establish state budget that cut spending from 6.5 to 3.5%. The mid-biennium budget process provides an opportunity to address critical situations that cannot be managed without existing appropriations enacted during the first session. I am concerned that 956 and 957 contain some items that expend non-critical services, replace the loss of federal funds, or attempt to advantage certain organizations in future biennial budgets. For example, I'm concerned the adjustments arbitrarily include another $1 million for community college at a time when the tax levies increased over 10% last year alone. Furthermore, this is not appropriate for a mid-biennium adjustment, which is intended for urgent request. Additionally, as worthy as the ACE scholarship program may be in principle, I oppose replacing lost federal dollars with state dollars. I thank you for working with me to address the $124 million downward revision of general fund tax receipt forecast. However, we must remain vigilant as we start to prepare the next biennium budget. I have signed LB 956 and 957 as presented, and we look forward to working with you to address the remaining business of the 104th Legislature. That's all that I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Pursuant to the agenda, we'll now move back to where we left off this morning. Mr. Clerk.
LB 821, Senator Chambers has pending, Mr. President, a motion to reconsider the vote on floor amendment 111.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Continuing debate on LB 821 and related amendments and motions. Senator Larson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, an hour and 52 minutes. 7:54, if that's what it takes. I appreciate having been able to walk around and talk with all of you. I'd ask you to hold in there. LB 821 is important for workplace privacy. It does cover everyone. And as internet accounts continue to grow in popularity, not just social media, all internet accounts, anything in the cloud, anything of that nature is protected in LB 821, not just social media. Again, I appreciate the support that many of you have given me. I ask you to hang in there for an hour and 51 minutes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Larson. Senator Chambers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the legislature. For me, what happened the last few hours did not happen, but it gave me some thoughts, some determination. But the business at hand is LB 821. And what I have been saying repeatedly, and I'll continue to hammer away on that. In the same way some people keep talking about sales tax, I'm gonna let you all know what I'm going to do as I listened. These farmers and ranchers have been getting federal subsidies, and a lot of that information is a matter of public record, but it has not been utilized up here. And it might put into context some of the things some of these people are talking about. And the reason I'm going to be able to do this is not because I know how to use the gadget, but there's a person who's been collecting and compiling this information and has become particularly incensed at some of the votes that these senators have been giving and the comments some of the senators have been making, especially how much property tax they pay, when they have gotten in the last few years over $1 million in federal government subsidies, and they can incorporate themselves and get plenty of money. So if it was an ordinary person trying to make a living off the land from what was produced, that would be one thing. But when you have taxpayers' money going to support farmers who've got plenty anyway, it puts things into a different context. And when you hear all of this pontificating about property tax relief and protecting the taxpayers, there's one person who's been doing that all day, and I have yet to hear him say anything about the huge subsidies that farmers are getting. But we'll have an opportunity to go through those things when we get to those tax bills. On this bill, I say again what I've been saying before I get back to the main issue that I've discussed on this bill. It's a do-nothing bill. It's an unnecessary bill. When we left discussing the bill this morning, I was talking to Senator Williams, and I would like to find out if he would yield to a question or two.
Senator Williams, would you yield, please?
Certainly.
Senator Williams, I don't think I'd made what I was asking you clear this morning. Anything that anybody puts into the public domain is there for anybody to get, and any prudent person who's going to hire an individual would seek that information in the same way he or she might look at recommendations that are given. And people are warned constantly, don't put the wrong thing on the net because it'll be available and hinder you in getting jobs. That's not what I'm asking. That's what a prudent business person would do. What I'm talking about are these private accounts where people have not put this material on the web, and this bill is saying that an employer could not could not even request that these private files, which were not put on the internet, would be made available to the employer. And my question to you was, would you seek to get that kind of information from an employee, which is private, personal, and not on the web?
As an employer, no, I would not try to get that information.
1 minute.
Thank you. And that's all I really wanted to ask, because Senator McAllister had said the same thing. I have yet to hear any business person say that's what they want to do. None has done it in Nebraska. And in addition to that, the bill does put a person in a position to be a disgruntled individual and can make the allegation that he or she was fired for refusal to give access to this information to the boss who fired that person. And it's interesting that some of the business people did not pick this up, but maybe the way the bill was presented, that issue did not arise. Thank you, Mr. President. And because we've been a while, was that my third time on this one?
You have one more, Senator, if you care to use it,
Yes, thank you.
and you may continue at this point.
And back to what I had been hammering away on, a loan.